Welcome into Instant Reaction, an Indianapolis Colts podcast. We are reacting to the Colts falling to the Houston Texans 20-16 inside Lucas Oil Stadium. It's the fourth straight loss the Colts have suffered to the Texans, but in those four games by a combined total of 13 points. These games are always tight against Houston, and that was definitely not an exception as the Colts fall by 4 to the Houston Texans. They now fall to 8-4, tied atop the AFC South with the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Texans, they get a big victory. They're now just one game back of both the Colts and Texans inside that AFC South. The Colts will travel to Jacksonville next week, so it doesn't get any easier. This rough road ahead for the Colts. It's a pretty brutal stretch here to close out the season. But I'm Casey Vallier, joined as always by Bill Brooks. Bill, we're sitting here on Lucas Oil Stadium, the field where all this just happened, and another tough one.
Yeah, it was a tough one. I mean, you come into this game and you lost last week to Kansas City. Come to this game, a division game, you want to play well at home, and you got a team that is, they're trying to get into that playoff race.
Right.
And they're going to be ready to play, but you figure you're at home. You know the team pretty well. They know you pretty well, and you feel pretty good coming into a game like this. And unfortunately, the Colts came up short. I mean, there were things that happened in the game that they didn't play well, didn't do some things well, and one of the things that come to mind is third downs. They weren't that good on third down, so there are things they have to clean up and they have to get better at. But this was a tough one. When you lose at home, a division opponent, it makes it hard.
No, it's tough, and like you said, you look back, and there were plenty of opportunities, and that's what's the hardest part about it is you lose one, and you can pick out a handful of spots where it's like if this changes here, or if that you get that completion there, you get a stop here, and that's the nature of the beast that's in the NFL. Everything essentially comes down to one-possession games because we know that margin of difference is so thin.
So small.
I mean, everybody is right there about on level playing field.
And the thing about that is, as a player, you don't know which play is going to make the difference.
Right.
And it could be the first play of the game. It could be the 25th play of the game. It could be the last play of the game. That's why you have to play each play like it is going to make the difference in the game. Right. And unfortunately, Texans made more plays than the Colts. Yeah. That's the bottom line.
Absolutely. Well, typically, as we do on Instant Reaction, we're going to highlight some positives. We're also going to talk about some of the negatives. You end up on the losing end of the scoreboard. There's definitely some areas you want to clean up. But sticking with the positives, I think it makes sense to start with Alec Pierce. Alec Pierce, another really solid performance. It's funny, I'm going to call her our executive producer of this said show here, Amanda Foster. She told me before the week that Alec Pierce has scored a touchdown in every My Cause, My Cleats game.
Wow, okay.
You follow that up, a big touchdown here. 4 catches, 78 yards. He also had the big pass interference penalty on third down, which set the Colts, continue that drive there and a touchdown. I thought Alec Pierce was pivotal to what the Colts did on offense.
Yeah, Alec Pierce has played well all season long. I mean, he's one of those individuals that you've seen his development from the time he's got here until now, how much he's improved and how much he's improved in his route tree running as far as not just running the deep ball and jumping up and catching it and high pointing the ball.
Yeah, but play across the middle?
Yes, across the middle. He ran another route where it's just like I call a curl route right there, caught the ball. So Alec is playing at a high level. I think you see him, and he is the deep threat, going deep, and teams have to prepare for him. And the one deep ball that he caught as far as a touchdown to me, he won that at the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
He beat the guy at the line of scrimmage, and then from that point on, the defender's playing catch-up. And he couldn't catch up to Alec, and Daniel made a nice throw to him, and Alec went up and got it and had a touchdown and got him bounds. So good play by Alec. And, Alec is just – you watch him play, and as a receiver, I watched a few little things that he does. He's just doing all the little things right, winning at the line of scrimmage, restacking, getting back, giving himself room to catch the ball so the quarterback doesn't throw him out of bounds if he has to throw him outside a little bit. So he's doing all those nice things, running those in routes at the top of the route, snapping the route off, getting his head around, catching the ball. So give Alec credit for all the things he's doing, and he had a nice game. Unfortunately, came up short for the Colts.
Right. I don't know if I gave her credit. I think I mentioned Amanda, but Amanda Foster, you are the one. You gave me that nugget. Thank you so much to Amanda. She's over there giving me the thumbs up with a nice little red face. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to embarrass you, Amanda. So one more time, sticking offensively for some of the positives, I thought There was a lot of chatter coming off last week about the usage of Jonathan Taylor. I thought you saw an impact from Taylor today. No touchdowns, but 21 carries for 85 yards, 3 catches for 36 yards. When you look around the NFL, you see that as a running back stat line. You're going to look at that and go, that's a good stat line. I know Jonathan Taylor is a little different because what he is able to do, you're almost expecting him to go for 100+ on the ground, have a couple touchdowns. But I thought today he was pretty effective. I know he wasn't able to get into the end zone, but I thought he really was able to, be patient and getting those, being able to break off a couple big ones. It was nice to kind of see him be back invented inside this Colts offense.
It was nice to see him run the ball, yes, and run the ball, make some big plays out there, break some outside there. He had a third down play that he ran outside. He got a first down, if I'm not mistaken. But he did a nice job out there today, and it's good to see Jonathan Taylor out there making big plays. Now, give the Houston Texans defense credit.
Very much so.
They are a good defensive team. So when you're playing a team like that, that plays well, plays physical, and plays hard, it's going to be tough getting those yards. And give the offensive line credit and for run blocking, and give Jonathan Taylor some credit for getting the yardage, hitting the holes hard and running hard, because he ran hard all day. But that Texan defense, they're
legit.
They legit, and they do get to the ball, and they like the gang tackle, so give them credit.
Absolutely. Now, a couple guys I also want to highlight on offense. Tyler Warren getting back into the end zone. That was good. First touchdown in 5 games. And then Josh Downs, I thought he had a really great drive. He had his 2 catches came on 1 drive, but they were both big third down conversions, and that's kind of what we've come to expect out of Josh Downs. So it was really good to see him getting back used. But defensively, you talked about what the Houston Texans did. I thought ultimately, the Colts fall this one, so you always kind of look at what the defense did. But I thought the defense played winning football today.
Yeah.
They held the Texans to just 20 points. They won the turnover battle. They were able also to limit the Texans. Now, this was an area where the Texans struggled coming into today, and you wanted to make sure that stayed with them, but they did a really good job of limiting them in the red zone.
Yep.
The Texans were just 2 of 5 inside the red zone, so holding them from, scoring those touchdowns, giving your offense the opportunity. I thought the defense showed some pretty good things today, and we saw Sauce Gardner. We'll talk about him a little bit later, but, ultimately he's part of that game plan. He goes down. That was, the first drive of the game, so that changes the whole kind of complexity of what the defense was supposed to look like today.
Yeah, the defense did a nice job. When you hold a team, keep them out of the end zone, that's a big plus. You don't want them to score any points, but if the team's going to move the ball down the field, you want to make sure you try to keep them out of the end zone and limit the damage they can do to you as a team by scoring touchdowns. So give the team credit for that. And you know what? They hung tough. They played a game last week and they went in overtime.
Right.
So they played an extra quarter.
And the week before.
Yeah, and the week before. That. So the team, a little tired maybe, but that's no excuse. And I'm sure they won't use that as an excuse. But give them credit for, standing up and not letting the Houston Texans get into get into the end zone while they were in the red zone. So give them credit. But I still like to see them get them off the field a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because they did get some first downs, and they did continue to drive the ball down the field and eat up some clock, and they won a time of possession and things like that. But for the most part, I thought the defense did a pretty good job, definitely keeping them out of the end zone.
No, you talk about time of possession. The Texans won the time of possession today by almost 10 minutes plus. So that is definitely one area. We definitely saw it a week ago against Kansas City. That follows up here in this week too. So that's going to be an area you want to address moving forward. Now, some of the negatives from this loss, offensively, 3 of 10 on third downs, 0 for 2 on fourth. So if you look at a third and fourth down, that last one was that final, the final offensive drive, 4th and 9. It's a tough one to convert. But at the end of the day, you're 3 of 12 on third and fourth down. That's really, really hard. You're held under 300 yards of total offense, which, through the first roughly 8 weeks of the season, the Colts were routinely getting 300 yards, kind of rolling out of bed. And then also in the red zone, you're 50% inside the red zone, being able to convert those into touchdowns. All of those things typically are recipes for failure, and you saw that follow true here today as the Colts got a loss. Yeah,
when part of that time of possession we talked about, when offensively you go 3 and out, you're not eating up much time.
Right.
And what happens is the defense has to go back on the field. They might be a little fatigued. They know that that's their job, but they still have to go out there and do it, but they're still fatigued. And when teams go up and down the field, they eat up some of that clock. So part of that is, you know what, you have to be efficient out there in the football field when defensively getting people off the field, offensively getting some first downs, moving the ball down the field, and hopefully getting some points. So those are things, that we talk about, and on third down as well, not being as efficient on third down as possible. But unfortunately for that causes problems for your offense and for your team as a whole.
Absolutely. Now, final thing I want to talk about is, Michael Badgley missed his third extra point on the season, and in these close games, you lose by 4. I know it was early in the game, but you just can't be chasing points, especially in these close games. So Michael Badgley missed the PAT today. The Colts lose by 4. You have the ball on your half of the 50 down the stretch. It's one of those things where an extra point here, you could be potentially setting yourself up for a game-tying field goal. And that's where it just changes the complexity of everything. And those things are so crucial. So especially in games where we talked about at the top, the NFL, it's essentially a one-score deciding league. Every point is crucial in every game, so you cannot be leaving any points on the board.
Yeah, a lot of games it comes down to one possession usually in the National Football League, and I'm sure Badgley would say, hey, I got to make that kick.
Yep.
And he has to. He has to make those kicks, and those changes things, and it changes the complexion of the game. It changes how the coaches call the game. It changes how the opposing team, they line up and play you as far as from a defensive standpoint and what they do on offense. And so a lot of things change by just that one play. And as I said earlier, usually the game comes down to one play. I'm not saying that was the play.
Right.
But you just never know what play is going to be the play. And for him, I'm sure he feels bad about it, but, he has to make those kicks. And that's the bottom line. And, I'm sure if he has other opportunities, he'll make that kick, and then everything will be fine. But it came down to that, but he just has to make that kick.
Absolutely. Now, final thing that we did see today, as we mentioned, we saw Sauce Gardner leave early in the game with a calf injury. He did not return. We don't know the extent of that calf injury to this point. Hopefully we'll have more information as the week goes on, but that is definitely something to monitor because, it was a big acquisition. You were excited to see what him and Charvarius Ward looked like, trying to shut down both sides. So now as he exit, he had a boot on, on the sidelines. So that is going to be something we're going to have to monitor, and that could kind of change the way that Lou Anarumo does things defensively. But I will say this, to give Lou some credit, it's kind of what he's been doing all year, especially in that position. Cornerback position thus far has been injury-prone throughout, so it's not something he hasn't dealt with this season. We'll just kind of see what that looks like if he has to miss any time and what that means for that next game against Jacksonville.
Yeah, he's going to have to make adjustments. The coaches are used to that. They make adjustments during the game, so if things happen, they know that. But I'm sure it's nothing new for him to make adjustments, but for him to go down, for Sauce to go down like that, and hope everything's okay. You just never know when it comes to lower leg injuries, what's going to happen or what could happen or what might happen in the weeks to come. But hopefully he'll be better. But it changes things during the game, and when things like that happen, it changes maybe how he puts his defense out there as far as man-to-man coverage. And maybe he might not do as much man-to-man coverage. He might have to do some more zone and do some different things to play to the personnel that he has out there. So we'll see what happens, and that changes the game. And, I'm sure it changes a few things for him out here tonight in this game, that he would have did some things differently if Sauce was still out there playing along with Charvarius Ward.
Absolutely. Well, as we mentioned, the Colts fall to the Texans 20-16. They are now tied with the Jacksonville Jaguars atop the AFC South, and the team that just defeated the Colts, the Houston Texans. They now improve one more game. They're now just one game back of the Colts. And if you look at the two games next week that I think a lot of us are going to have our eyes on, we're going to be watching the game in Jacksonville between the Colts and the Jags, but then also Houston, they play the Kansas City Chiefs. We know how pivotal that's going to be as far as the AFC pecking order goes in the playoffs. But, hey, this is what we love about the NFL.
I'm sure the NFL loves this. They're loving this. They're like, hey, look, you know what? We did a good job making this schedule this year for 2025, so they are loving this.
They are, absolutely. And for the Colts, it is going to be a pivotal game next week because we talk about the importance of the divisional games. You drop one to the Texans. I'm not going to say that everything can be improved, but it really helps your chances if you can go on the road and get a big victory, a kind of a get-back game, if you will. But it's going to be one that we're all going to be watching in Jacksonville. a place where I don't want to talk about the streak, but everybody knows the Colts haven't won down there since blah, 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 blah. Beeped all that out. We're not going to put it in there. But, yes, we know what the streak is. It's all about this is a new team, that's a new team, and you got to go 1-0. So let's hope the Colts can have a good week of practice and take care of business.
The good thing is the Colts still control their own destiny.
100%.
And that's the bottom line
yes.
to me. They still control their own destiny. If they take care of business, they still will win the division if they do the things they need to do.
Absolutely, and it all starts next Sunday, and we will have a full breakdown for you after that Colts and Jags game live from Duval County in Jacksonville. But for Bill Brooks, I'm Casey Vallier. The Colts fall to the Texans 20-16. Thank you for joining us here on Instant Reaction, an Indianapolis Colts podcast.